together. Yes, we belong together for eternity. Hi there, Terence McWanna here. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for your patience and perseverance. I hope you missed me. This month I'm going to do something very different. I always like to do something very different. When I thought to myself about doing another series for this month, I thought, well, Valentine's Day is coming up. Maybe I should sit and talk about some great romantic classics such as Casablanca, A Brief Encounter, Say Anything, Titanic. But then I started to think to myself, well, we all have this viral albatross hanging over our necks, right? Everyone's so disconnected from their friends, their family, their loved ones. So I thought I'd do something different, and I'm going to do this series this month called Passion Killers. And what do I mean about Passion Killers? Well, I'm going to look at a select few films that look at some of the more negative aspects of relationships. And the first film that I want to look at is the film Fear from 1996. When Nicole met David, handsome, charming, affectionate, he was everything. It seemed perfect, but soon she sees that David has a darker side, and his adoration turns to obsession, and their dream into a nightmare. I first became aware of this film when it got released, and it was reviewed on a show called Movie Watch. And on that show it didn't get a very good review. And I'm not surprised, because by that point in 1996, the whole psychological thriller subgenre had kind of ran out of steam. It was immensely popular from 1985 up until the late 90s, from films such as Jagged Edge, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Unlawful Entry, The Crush, A Single White Female. Every few months there was another one of these types of films, and my brother, he coined this phrase many years ago, that these types of films are occupational psycho films. And what does he mean by occupational psycho? You just imagine a script meeting in Hollywood where they're saying, right, we've got this script here. Well, what's it about? Well, it's about this nanny, right? And she seems perfect. Everything's brilliant about her, but she's a psycho. Oh, right, wow, that's amazing. That's a go picture. Green light that script. What's this one about? Well, this is about a guy who becomes a tenant, and he seems like the perfect tenant, but guess what? He's a psycho. Oh no, right? So it was almost like they would think of an occupation. Right, here we go, we've got a plumber. Oh, he's the perfect plumber in the world. He's such a gentleman, such a lovely guy, but he's a psycho. I thought Fear is a really good psychological thriller in the vein of Fatal Attraction. As we all recall, Fatal Attraction also coined the phrase bunny boiler, right? Where a lot of these psychological thrillers, they tend to have animals getting killed to sort of prove how psychotic these characters are. And just like the rest of them, Fear has a moment like that as well. It is a really interesting thriller, and it does build up. And there's some really tense moments in this, particularly with William Petersen. William Petersen plays Reese Witherspoon's father in this, and I know William Petersen, I don't watch CSI, right, but I know William Petersen more from To Live and Die in LA and Manhunter. He's a terrific actor, and those two films are absolute classics in my book, Manhunter and To Live and Die in LA, and he was absolutely perfect in those films, especially To Live and Die in LA, where he just played this almost suicidal Secret Service agent that is just determined to capture this counterfeiter played by William Dafoe. That is a brilliant film. The car chase in that is just absolutely second to none, right? And his performance in it, he's just got so much power in that performance, and he brings that to this film Fear. It's interesting because you feel like the weight of To Live and Die in LA is brought into this character in Fear to sort of show here he is going up against Mark Wahlberg's horrible David character who is threatening him in the street, right, bringing up all these secrets he knows about him that he's going to use to sort of blackmail him in some way. I can imagine that a lot of these psychological thrillers caused so many people to just not trust other people. What if he's a psycho? What if he's a maniac? What if he's a serial killer? I don't want to connect with that person. I do feel that this film is semi-realistic. Obviously it's a potboiler. It's a thriller that sort of follows those tropes that you've seen in so many of these psychological thrillers. But I think that at the heart of it, I feel that it has something to say about toxic relationships and about having this relationship with someone who is dangerous, right? There's an actual danger to you and your family. You know, while I was watching Fear as well, I started to think about some of the more romantic films that I was going to discuss, right? I was going to do this whole month about romantic movies, and while I was watching Fear for the very first time, I started to think about some of my favourite romantic films. In particular, Say Anything. I absolutely love Say Anything. When I was a teenager, that was my movie. Say Anything was just, I must have watched that film every single day, and I absolutely idolised John Cusack. John Cusack's character, Lloyd Dobler, in Say Anything, I wanted to be that guy, right? I always thought it was really cool that here we had this character who's, all of his best friends were all women, right? But his masculinity was never called into question at all in the entire movie. I absolutely loved that aspect. But one thing that I thought about when I was watching Fear, well, Mark Wahlberg is just being so overtly creepy in this movie and frightening, right? He has a really frightening character. It made me think of that famous scene from Say Anything. Now, Say Anything's a romantic classic, absolutely, right? But one particular scene that people have kind of got a bit annoyed at these days is when him and Ione Skye, her character Diane Court, they've broken up, and he can't see her anymore, and so what he does is he plays that wonderful Peter Gabriel song In Your Eyes from his Ghetto Blaster, his boogie box, from outside her window. It's such an iconic moment in the film, and that is now deemed as creepy, right? Even though you watch that movie and you go, oh wow, he's so desperate to get back with her, he's playing their song from a distance, we now go, yeah, you've been a bit of a stalker there, John. You know, it's just it's not cool anymore. And it's interesting that some of even the romantic films that we hold up there are borderline creepy as well. Yeah, Fear was a really good psychological thriller, really exciting, and it had a really good pace to it. That was the thing, that the sort of creepier aspects, it doesn't waste no time. It gets right into it, and the big sort of showdown where Mark Wahlberg and all of his pals are all breaking into the family's house. That was a really tense moment, really good scenes, and his performance was great. So was Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon is playing this naive teenage girl who is she's never had a proper boyfriend before, and she's really out of her element with this character. She is absolutely fantastic in that. And William Petersen as this sort of helpless father who can't protect his daughter, and they have that cliche that the police are just absolutely useless. They're always really useless in these films. You always find that in these psychological thrillers that the characters have to take the law into their own hands to defend themselves ultimately, because the police just cannot intervene. But yeah, I really had a good time with Fear. If you've not seen it, I highly recommend it. It's definitely one of the better psychological thrillers. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscription button. I'll be back very soon with another psychological thriller. I hope to see you then. Please don't have nightmares, okay? Cheery bye.